City Matters.
Welcome back here to hmTv and the Fog of War and Humanity. We're on our third episode with Monty Granger. We appreciate Monty coming in and spending his time here at the Nassau County Holocaust Museum and speaking about his very, very incredible, serious, and interesting experiences that are not heard from too many soldiers in this country through all the branches of the armed forces there. So now when you go to Iraq, what were your first moments like when you got in country there?
They call it baptism by fire. It wasn't direct fire, it was indirect fire. So Camp Victory was a big base there in Baghdad. We arrived probably sundown. It was close to Christmas, and we're getting a tour in blackout conditions, which means no flashlights, no lights, nothing. And your eyes adjust. And then all of a sudden there's a huge explosion about a mile away, a big fire mushroom cloud. And we're like looking at each other going, welcome to Iraq. Turns out insurgents had blown up a fuel truck.
Wow.
So that was baptism by fire.
When was that?
That was December 2004. I got notified in April 2004. I got transferred to a unit that will be deployed. I believe we were activated in September, trained up, and then by December we were over in Kuwait and then into Iraq.
It's interesting because here you're a veteran in the 90s, right? And now by 2004, you're in uniform for 3 years since 9/11. And you've seen the global war on terror here in the United States, Cuba, now in Iraq.
Yep.
So you've seen a lot of different facets of it, right?
Yeah, and I got to travel throughout Iraq. I did inspections or visits to Camp Bucca in the south.
How far south was that?
It's near the border of Kuwait. So
so that's a ways then from
Baghdad,
which was more about central country?
Yes, it was south central. It was about an 18-hour convoy. There were 5 trucks, myself, the brigade commander and his staff, and we were down there for wellness inspection. And down there they had the tent set up, the system set up from least restrictive to most restrictive. But that's where the ISIS leaders plan their game.
Sure.
And were released from that. But there were riots down there. Guards.
Was it a big facility?
It was big. There were probably tens of thousands of detainees, and they were processed. Like my commander that I went to Iraq with was on a release board. So part of his job was to investigate these guys and then sit on a board to release them or not. So it was an ongoing mission. It was different than Gitmo in that we used the prescribed military system of severity of incarceration depending on your behavior. The better you behave, the more freedom you have. The worse you behave, the more restricted you are. But I was focused on the conditions of the camp. Did they meet or not meet Geneva Convention? When I got to Abu Ghraib that winter, 2004-05, it was a crap hole. And this was after the scandal. Yeah. They had moved detainees out of the hard site, and now the Iraqis were using the hard site for their prisoners. And when the ICRC, International Committee of Red Cross, visited, they were more concerned with the Iraqi operation than ours.
Did you have a large infrastructure there, buildings, and all kinds of
things? It was originally constructed in the 40s by the British as a prison.
And this is down near Kuwait?
No, this is Abu Ghraib.
Oh, Abu Ghraib,
so, okay. The Camp Bucca is all tents.
All tents.
No.
At Camp Bucca. So how do you handle security in terms of something that's not a...
You have barbed wire.
A lot of it.
Concertina, chain link, and guards.
And what's the terrain like? It's all sand?
Flat, desert, yeah. Yeah.
Was there any attempts to break out of there? Was there?
I believe so, but not at the time I was there. It was very secure. But what we found out over time and after I left Iraq was that they had been digging tunnels.
Wow.
Like the Great Escape.
Yeah.
A little at a
Tom,
time.
Dick, and Harry, right?
But they got caught. You know, they were not successful.
What nationalities did you have there? What ethnic groups did you have?
All pretty much. You had the North Africans, you had Arabs, some Bedouins, you had Iraqis, Syrians,
Iranians too, or
Iranians, everything you had there. It was an international conglomerate.
now were those guys promised? I mean, they're more or less like what mercenaries are.
Many of them were. In
And
fact,
they're fighting the jihad too, right?
ironically, the local Iraqis, who we dealt with the ministers at Abu Ghraib, the name for them were foreigners. So the insurgents were foreigners to the Iraqis, and they were coming, causing trouble. Of course, the misstep we made was firing the whole Iraqi army when we got there. So what else did they have to do? So they became insurgents, many of them. And then you have the foreign insurgents, the guys who later became the ISIS leaders.
Was there any one insurgent there that was easier or harder to take care of, to care for, to deal with?
Yeah, and then we separated them. And they were under constant observation by guards. Guards would take notes or make mental notes and then tell their chain of command. And eventually the people were isolated that were doing, causing trouble, and they were separated from the group.
Did any of their governments, it's a tough question to ask, did they want these people back?
Yes and no.
Did they say, we kind of want to keep an eye on them?
Yes and no. And here's the
example?
tickle part of the international law. We are not allowed to repatriate someone to a place where we feel it's more likely than not that bad things will happen to them. Well, wait a minute. They're criminals, right? If their country wants them back, they're getting punished. So it became this sort of tug of war.
It's like a holding pattern.
Between us and the forces that ended up being, apologists for Islamic supremacists who wanted to kill us. And they're trying to make things good for, well, we can't send them back because they'll be killed. Why would that happen? Well, because they're bad. Oh, right. We're not supposed to say they're bad guys. So,
but they most likely had records in those places as well.
Sure. So what ended up happening was the U.S. government made deals with third nations to take these guys. So many of the detainees released from Gitmo or from Iraq, if they were repatriated, went to a third country. And we found out later, I spent 6 months at a place called Ashraf. So Ashraf...
Where was that?
In east central Iraq, near the Iranian border. And these guys had worked for Saddam Hussein. There were 3 battalions, armored battalions, of expatriate nationalist Iranians who wanted to overthrow the Mullah government. And they fought against Iran during the Iran-Iraq war. After that, they became Saddam Hussein's henchmen. So if Saddam Hussein had an enemy, he would send the MEK, Mujahideen al-Kaq, or PMOI, People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran, to go get that person. They wouldn't just kill the person, they'd kill his whole family. And one of the detainees at Ashraf, who became an interpreter for us, was actually a German citizen, Iranian and German, said that, yeah, sometimes they wouldn't waste the ammunition. Like when they put down the Kurdish rebellion, they just lined them up in the street and ran them over with the tracks.
Terrible.
So these are the guys.
Chemical weapons against their own people.
Exactly.
Too, yeah?
So when we went in April 2003, all these guys put their hands up. So we took all their toys away. In fact, when I got there in spring of 2005, we were still blowing up their ordnance from 2003. So these guys were packing. They had no more weapons, but nobody would mess with them because of the reputation.
They were certainly known for what they had done. Right?
And we repatriated them on an ongoing basis. So we held a compound within a compound. And these guys were free to stay with the PMOI, but they could defect. And they'd walk down this long dirt road. They'd come to our compound, their hands up. The Navy intel guys would interview them, find out where are you from, where do you want to go, and sometimes they'd be repatriated. It was bizarre.
I mean, you got a lot of strange bedfellows, right? In terms of
Exactly. And part of my job was making sure they had what they needed. They had like Soviet-style medicine. And
now those guys that were Iranian, they don't like their own government. They
Right.
do a lot of Saddam's dirty work.
right.
When they were released into society, did people go after them?
That's a good question to really know.
It's like at the end of World War II, right? You had women that slept with the Germans. They had their hair shaved off.
Yeah.
You had people stoned to death and stuff like that, right?
Well, it depends on where they go. Like
Yeah.
the PMOI government is in exile in France. Miriam Rajavi is the person in charge. And all women are in charge. Men are not in charge. There's no marriages. There's no children. There's no relationships allowed.
That's where the Ayatollah was hanging out, was in France before he got back in there in,
Right.
79, right?
Right.
So it's an interesting crossroads there.
If you have to go in exile, I guess that's where you go.
Unbelievable.
But I spent 6 months there, and I got lucky. I got to go.
What were they like to deal with?
Very strange. So, like I said, all women are in charge. Before we were able to meet with the medical personnel and get their orders for supplies and equipment, we would be entertained. We would be brought into a room. We'd be wined and dined. No alcohol, but they would have tea. They made their own soda. They made their own ice cream. They made their own bread. They had farms. And so we were treated with Iranian delicacies. And then we were indoctrinated. We would take trips to their martyr museum, all the people that the mullahs killed.
Did you have any government officials, intelligence guys, higher up military, that just kind of said to you guys, you got to watch the loyalties of these
Oh,
people?
absolutely. And they had examples of American soldiers who had gone back to the United States, deactivated, whatever, who had relationships with these people. So
Did they bring them back to the country here?
it's kind of skibbity because you have Iranian enclaves. There's one in Southern California. I think in the Midwest there's some more.
Texas, I think. Right?
And they influence the politicians in those areas because they represent a big voting bloc.
Yeah.
And they're pro-PMOI, they're pro-MEC. They want to go in and take over the mullahs in Iran. So every several months you read stories in a paper, like I read one yesterday, that Iranian citizens are taking to the streets. And I would have asked our interpreter at Ashraf, oh, what about all this? Why don't you guys just want to go back to your country and then have a revolution? He says, no, they kill us.
Now, when you look at these different ethnic groups, you got a whole melting pot of detainees that are fighting against the United States. It's a hornet's nest in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Was there any one group that was, when you went up against these guys and you cared for them, you treated them, you made sure their accommodations were secure or whatever the case is, was there any one group that you said, wow, these guys are like some of the tougher to go
Yeah,
up
you
against?
kind of stay away from the Afghanis,
And did you have Afghanis
the
in Iraq
Taliban.
also?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they were Iraqis. A lot of people in incarceration places. In fact, I had a conversation.
Or you see the Afghanis in terms of Guantanamo Bay, in terms of getting them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they separate themselves. You know, the different cultures, they try to band together.
Do they see themselves higher up in that hierarchy in terms of resistance?
I think regarding their religious faith or their ideas of Islam, they're either more or less violent,
Yeah.
more or less willing to do whatever it takes to kill an American. I ran into an Iraqi general who was incarcerated at Abu Ghraib, and he pulled me aside. I was doing an inspection, and he says, you know, how you treat us is going to have a long-term effect.
Yeah.
And I said, I realize that that's why I'm here, to make sure that the money spent on your food is what it is. And it wasn't. There was embezzling going on. We got $14 per detainee per day to feed, and I found out we were only spending half that.
Wow.
And they weren't getting the things that they really like. Remember, fat and happy keeps them safe. They weren't fat and happy.
Yeah.
We were shortchanging them on their food.
And from that keeps them more,
Complacent, docile.
yeah.
It's like you think of yourself in prison.
Yeah.
If you're treated well, watch TV, go play some sports. Wow, the food's pretty good. They take care of you health-wise. You're not going to want to cause trouble.
Yeah, take off.
Because then they take all that away.
Yeah. And that's dangerous for you guys because sooner or later a guard is going to let their security down a little bit. People are only human. You're, like you said, you're working every day. You're tired.
And these guards, God bless them, they're the heroes of Gitmo. That's the name of the video that talks about the book on YouTube.
Did you do you have contact with anybody from Guantanamo Bay? Like they might have been younger, NCOs or privates or officers that have stayed in that job?
It's been a long time. I know that when we got back, the people did go back to their jobs, whether police officer, sheriff, deputy, whatever. Figure many of them are retired by now.
Wow. Yeah, it's something because it's 25 years. And if you look at your military career, probably at least half of it was before 9/11.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then you have the years after it.
Yeah, I retired in 2008 as a major.
Yeah.
And
you had soldiers that you served with that might have had more time
Sure.
or less. They go after you.
Yep.
But once you hit 20, 25 years, people kind of want to say, all right, let's kind of get back to a sense of normalcy.
Exactly.
And that's the thing with the reserve and guard that people don't understand is you do have a home and you have a job and you left, 5 kids, right? Or had 5 kids.
3 at the time.
At the time.
The other 2 came, one came in 2006. I wasn't deployed after that.
Yeah.
In 2008. So they're the kids that didn't have to experience it.
Did any officers bring you back for counseling in terms of talking about the mission? Did anyone reach out to you?
There was one weird experience at the VA hospital. I guess we had to go within a few months after coming back from Iraq. We had to fill out questionnaires in country and then a questionnaire when we came back. And it's like, you don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
You haven't sorted anything out. Since then, I have had trauma therapy. I've had, some things that happened over in Iraq that used to get into my head. But it didn't really come to fruition until about 2 years ago when I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. And the VA took care of me. They gave me all the machines.
Yeah.
But then I started having nightmares because I was getting deep sleep.
Yeah.
Before that, I was getting deep sleep. And I had all these
So you had
problems.
the ability not to think about it because your sleep was altered.
Was it dreaming?
Now you're sleeping more, and then the nightmares come on.
And the nightmares came. So they gave me trauma therapy, and they gave me like 1 milligram of this, not a psychotropic, but it is a drug that prevents you from having nightmares.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because the nightmares went away.
You take that now?
I do.
Is that in the form of a pill, or is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Prazosin, 1 milligram.
It's amazing how the technology, right? Years ago, you had,
Exactly.
we were at the Holocaust Museum here. You had American soldiers that are 18, 19, 20 years old, liberating camps.
Unbelievable.
And living the next 60 years with those experiences, going about having a family, working every day, doing all these things. And a lot of them were told, go home, get a job, white picket fence, maybe go to college.
Right. They need to go out
and don't talk about any of this stuff.
Anybody's listening to this, you're having trouble, go to the VA. They will take care of it. They will listen to you. The people are terrific. You just have to get through the red tape, be patient, right? And they will take care of you. They will take very good care of you. But you need to go in. And one of the things I've been working with is there's a team from Dartmouth University who have come up with artificial intelligence Therabot. They did
This stuff is crazy now.
They did an experiment last spring, Richie. It's amazing. I had been having conversations with AI since you could. Every day I use it in my social media. So I have the occasional conversation and try them out. They're very sophisticated now. But back then I was having a conversation with an AI bot about the situation of 17 to 22 veteran suicides a day on how to do that. And I told the AI bot, I said, look, this could work if you had a memory. If you could, and this was before AI bots had memory.
Yeah.
And so while I'm having these conversations, that transition happens. And in one of my AI online magazines, I read an article about this team from Dartmouth who had 51% drop in depression symptoms after talking with an AI bot for 3 weeks. With all the guardrails in place, like if they say, they say something, okay, we're going to get you help with a human being, and over 80% went back to it. We're engaged in this thing. And I know from teaching health education, suicide is a three-legged stool: helpless, hapless, and hopeless. You break one of those legs, no suicide. So this AI bot, if you get 80% engagement, you're going to break one of those legs.
Let me ask you, your health background, what you just mentioned, that helped you handle certain flags that came up for yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I think one of the things you have to get through is admitting to yourself you have a problem, an issue. Like for me,
it has to be cared for.
Yeah, if you have anger issues, if you don't treat people the way you want to be treated, if you're not getting good sleep.
What was the flags that came up for you? Because I've known you for my whole professional life in terms of teaching, from the moment I did my student teaching at ComSwag. And you're always, you don't get too high, you don't get too low.
Yeah.
I remember you walking around the baseball field, and the smart thing was, I know you were getting a little exercise. You like to get out of the office. You'd pick up the baseballs and lacrosse balls and stuff, but you were also keeping an eye on things that were going on.
Sure.
From afar.
Yeah.
And you could see more from afar too, right?
Yeah.
What were the things that came up for you?
Just what I said. I was not sleeping well. I had gout. I had this. I had that. All these
you get irritable, right?
Yeah, anger issues. Then I get diagnosed. I use a CPAP. Now I'm sleeping. I feel good. My body's healing itself.
Yeah.
But now I'm having these graphic nightmares. Things like I'm in a war zone where I can't find my weapon. I'm in a war zone. I have a weapon. I can't find ammo. Things that are really anxiety.
Sure.
In a war zone were happening to me.
Things that you either dealt with or things that you knew about, right? Things
so
that you understood.
That was happening a lot. I was like, holy crap. So I told somebody at VA. So I got these sessions with somebody. We you have to learn yourself. They get the trauma therapy. The trauma therapy is a lot of homework. It's all introspection. It's all realizing how you're thinking and feeling and changing those things.
I would say last month. So we're just about done with the 2025. So I would say 4 or 5 weeks ago, I had a Vietnam veteran. He had seen some very serious stuff. His wife was here, and she said a number of times, "I'm so proud of him." Your wife she sees the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I would bring her.
Right?
I'd bring her.
And she's got to say, he's still a little off, or he's gotten better, right?
She is my sounding board.
Yeah.
She's honest. She's honest as the day is long, and she'll tell me, so you need to work on that, or what were you thinking before you said that? And then, you have to get back inside and say, and be aware of what you're saying and thinking before you say it. So I think I've come a long way. I got a long way to go, but if there's anybody out there you have any issues whatsoever, go to the VA. They'll sort it out. You apply for benefits.
The technology aspect of AI, like I tell the kids in school, don't use any of the AI because of papers and this and
I'll
that.
share some blogs I wrote with you about that.
It's amazing that you could use this.
Yeah, we have to use it.
Towards being positive.
We have to use it. 17 to 22 a day. If it was anything else, and I said this to Elon Musk, although he never got back to me. I said, what if 17 to 22 Tesla employees were killing themselves every day? What would you do? You'd shut it down.
Yeah. You'd have to find some sort of solution.
And you'd find a solution. Yeah. Well, why aren't we doing that with veterans? Well, here's a solution. Just start using it and then work out the kinks. Don't put guardrails on too soon. Go to the guys at Dartmouth.
Yeah.
One of them, the guy I've been working with, is also an Army doc, a reservist.
That's a great resource to work with.
So we're thinking a Therabot for the recruit, for the active duty, for the retiree, to the veteran. And then that bot remembers who you are. Because part of the problem with the VA, I had to tell my story to 8 people.
You know what the interesting thing is? You have military in your family, right?
Yes.
You have older family members that served, older friends,
Brothers.
From decades ago, could you imagine telling them years ago, we're going to be able to use the computer, or we're going to be able to use this form of technology?
Use it.
But they would look at you and say, what?
They wouldn't know.
They
I say,
wouldn't know.
think of Star Trek. You know how they talk into the communicator or just speak to the computer, right? That's what they did.
Yeah, it's an excellent example.
So you have that now. I mean, if you look at science fiction writing, it's all about androids and artificial intelligence and our struggle with that.
Sure.
You know?
All right. So, Monty, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks, Richie.
Monty made a long trip from Port Jefferson Station today. It's great having you up here. We're going to have Monty up here again. Here are his books, Saving Grace at Guantanamo Bay. Okay. And then
the newest one, the Centum Diary.
Centum Diary. So this looks like Civil War, right?
My great-great-grandfather's Civil War diary from 1863.
So Monty definitely has some very current and past history, not only with his military experience, but that of his family. Look it up. Any of the main areas to get books, right? Walden Books, probably.
Amazon.
Yeah, Barnes
just
and
put
Nobles,
it,
right?
Put it in the search engine.
Yeah, and it'll come up.
You can also get a signed copy by going to my Etsy store, which is gitmoburst.com.
Okay. And we're going to be doing an expansion on the Military History Museum in Rocky Point, and we're going to have a very strong exhibit when it comes to handling prisoners of war. We've had Monty here a couple of times, and our last 2 guests one of them handled prisoners of war in northern Iraq, and another one was a translator who spoke several different languages. So we're going to have all these gentlemen together and their stories in the museum, and the second part of that museum is going to be opening up this spring. Thank you very much for joining us. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to the hmTv family. We had a great year, and we have a lot more to come as we set our sights towards doing some very, very great episodes coming up in 2026.